Feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while. I think it was in January. It's really the last time I got a chance to speak with you guys. I appreciate, first of all, you guys coming down. I know there are a lot of unknowns right now, whether we're talking about the draft or free agency, but today is really about the new coaches. And, we'll have our coordinators up here to kind of speak to you guys. And I don't know if Stacy told you guys, but afterwards, the rest of our new coaches, I think we have 17 new coaches, they will come down and hopefully we get a chance to really vibe and connect. They know that, our relationship with the media is very important. Stacy and Aaron have done a good job explaining it to those guys, but at the same time, I think there needs to be a good relationship between the two groups. And hopefully, I'll try to make myself available as much as possible, but at the same time, today is really just about the new coaches and the coordinators.
Ron, tell us about the process, what it was like for you, and how happy are you with the staff that you have in line?
Yeah, the process, it was definitely a learning experience. I've interviewed people in the past before for other jobs, but this one was a little bit different, but it was exciting, and I felt like I learned a lot. I learned a lot from the coaches that came in and interviewed that didn't get hired. Hopefully they had a good sense of what we're trying to build here, but it was good. It was good.
You've had this job now for a month and a half. What's been the biggest surprise for you so far?
The biggest surprise for me really has been the lack of true football tape I've had an opportunity to watch right now. As a head coach, it's kind of a little bit different. Right now we're trying to continue to, nail down the rest of the staff and also get into some of the things we want to do in the near future.
Gerard, you mentioned learning new things from the coaches you didn't hire. What were a couple of those things?
I don't want to get into X's and O's, honestly, not today. But it was mainly about X's and O's and how those guys, their leadership philosophies and things like that. It wasn't anything like groundbreaking, but at the same time, there were little nuggets that I took away.
Rob, regarding surprises, trusting them more, how important was it to have someone with head coaching experience on the staff?
Oh, it was very important. It was very important for me to have someone that I can bounce questions off of that's actually sat in that seat. It's been great, and honestly, I have relationships with coaches around the league as well that have offered to help. They're not in the AFC, so that's a good thing.
Gerard, you interviewed several candidates for offensive coordinator. What did you like about Van Pelt and I guess Ben McAdoo as well?
Yeah, AVP, I'm not exactly sure, and I don't want to get into what happened at Cleveland, but all the people that I talked to, they speak very highly of AVP. Obviously, he understands the X's and O's of the game, but also developing talent. And really, he is a relationship guy, which I fundamentally believe is very important. Before you really get into X's and O's with the guys on the field, they got to know that you care about them. And one thing about AVP, which you guys will see here shortly, he is a people person, but also with an extensive knowledge of football.
Tried to go off of that offensive coordinator search, at least from afar, seemed wide-ranging. A number of different people interviewed. Why was it important to cast such a wide net for that job?
Yeah, this is my first time doing it. So you want to make sure that you have a bar set and then work off of that bar. I feel very good about where our staff is. Once again, look, there will be one-offs here and there, but it was very important just to talk to as many people as we could so we can get a good feel for who we wanted to hire.
Gerard, obviously you come from the defensive side and you've schemed against all the best modern offenses. Did you go into this thinking like, oh, I went against this offense, I'd like to hire somebody from that tree, or how did it work for you?
A little bit. Realistically, I'm not going to talk too much about football, but realistically on early downs, you're only going to get so many schemes. It's really the third down stuff that you really see coaches start to shine. It was important. Anytime we played Cleveland or teams that it was at the top of my mind, when we played teams like that, you always wonder, like, what are they thinking? And also, what are they thinking about us defensively? And so I feel like we've cast, the net that we've casted, I will definitely learn a lot from these guys as well as we prepare for the opponents going forward.
About what it was like bringing Donkor back?
Look, Hightower, he was my little brother when he got here. One of the smartest players that I've been around, And we've been talking about this for a while, I'll be honest with you. We've been talking about it for a while. Hightower has always really wanted to coach. He was a coach on the field. Obviously, he took the torch and kind of ran with it as far as the championships and the leadership skills that he has. It was very important, but it wasn't like yesterday, hey, man, you want to be my linebacker coach. This was a extensive search or process.
What kind of advice do you have for him who is kind of entering coaching a similar situation?
Just to be a sponge, the same way he was when he came in as a player. Just try to learn from as many people as possible. When I got here, I could talk about my journey. You have a guy like DeMarcus Covington who really started off on offense, moved over to defense quality control. Then all of a sudden he's coaching the linebackers without the linebacker tag. Then he's going to the front. But he had an extensive knowledge of different position groups. And also, I would say he really helped me with the behind-the-scenes stuff, right? The drawing of the cards and setting up practice and things like that. Steve helped me as well. I spent a lot of time with DC and confident in what he's taught me. So for Hightower, he should do the same thing.
You mentioned the number of new coaches coupled with the ones that are coming back. It seems like a fairly large staff. What led you to think that this number is the best number?
Yeah, one thing we wanted to make sure of is that we weren't duplicating roles. And so for us, we were thinking about what value does this role bring to the team? Now, historically, we've always had small staffs. And, I mean, it's hard to get things done that way in today's NFL. We weren't really thinking about the size. We were just thinking about how can we make this staff as good as it can be. Now, look, honestly, after talking to a lot of coaches, your first year coaching, you hope you put together the best staff, but realistically, I mean, it's a process.
How much did you rely on Elliott Wolf, Gerard? How much did you rely on Elliott Wolf to help you fill out the staff? Yeah,
Elliott, he's been great. He was in all the interviews. He definitely has a lot of contacts and resources outside of the building. When from my perspective, all of my football has really been here. So it was very important for me to bring in, the AVP, the McAdoo's, Elliott. Elliott grew up in the scouting world. He's been at multiple places. It was very important to get their point of view as well.
Do you anticipate making any more additions to the coaching staff at this point?
I would say it's still a process. We're still working through it. There are some roles that we're thinking about, but at the same time, we're pretty set. We're pretty set.
AVP as your offensive coordinator, what are you expecting out of your offense on the field?
Yeah, I'm expecting, first and foremost, a tough team. And I think after that, it really gets into smart players. But you don't have to be a genius, but you have to be smart enough and really explosive players and guys that really play for one another. We want to check our egos. Oh, hold on. This is, even from a coaching staff, I say it's an ego-free zone. And once we get the coaches on that same page, you hope that the players will follow suit and go out there and play for one another.
A month ago,
hold on, I gotta go here. Wait, hold on. Here we go.
A month ago, this day wasn't here, and now all of a sudden it is. So, how are you feeling about that? That you're a month later now, and you're almost got your final coaching staff, and you're ready to move on.
Yeah, I mean, it feels great. It feels great, and like I said, I'm very happy with the coaching staff that we have. After this, you'll get a chance to meet the coordinators, obviously, but also our position coaches will play a major part in this team's success.
Are you able to say whether Troy Brown is still on the staff, and if so, in what role?
Yeah, Troy Brown is still on the staff, and once again, I would say the staff is still pretty fluid, but he is on the staff.
What's your relationship like with Elliott prior to you ascending to the chair?
Yeah, so once Elliott got here, we hit it off the first time we really met. He's one of those guys. He's an ego-free guy. He just wants to win football games, and that's what I live by as well. And he's been a great partner in this.
Share similar vision here?
Absolutely. From a team-wide perspective, all the way down to the individual players, our philosophy matches. We want to put good football players out there that are fast and smart and really play for one another. He sees it the same way.
What role is Robin Glazer? What duties is she performing for you? She was in on at least some of the interviews, but.
Yeah, honestly, like at this point in time, I just kind of want to focus on the coaches. Look, we'll have other opportunities to really talk about some of the things and some of the roles as it starts to really set into place. But right now, I'm focused on the coordinators, and I think we should focus on the coordinators and the assistant coaches.
What attracted you to working with DeMarcus Covington as a defensive coordinator?
Yeah, you know, like I said, when I first got here, he showed me a lot of the behind the scenes, and so it was a mentorship or a reverse mentorship, however you want to look at it. I did it on the field, but he also knew how to do the back end stuff. Look, this is one of those guys as well. You know, I've already talked about this being a relationship business where he has a great relationship with the players. You know, mind, body, and spirit. He always talks about those things, and you can see from the development of the players in his room, he was ready for the job.
Gerard, in recent years, more and more coaching staffs haven't been showing up to the NFL Combine, which is going on next week. Do you envision being there? And because you guys have the number 3 pick, is this an important one for you?
Yeah, we're still working through that stuff. Look, we'll talk about it after this mic is out my face. But at the end of the day, look, we'll have great representation there, and I have nothing but the ultimate faith in Elliott and his staff as well, and also our coaches that are evaluating players both in free agency and the draft.
What did you like about his philosophy?
Yeah, you know, the one thing I would say about AVP is he can make the same concept look a bunch of different ways, and that's always hard for us on the defensive side of the ball. And really, like, it depends on the players that we have and the flexibility that he has as far as scheme is concerned. He's been cross-trained, multiple teams, and I think that experience and that philosophy is going to do us well in the future.
Gerard, you have.
The offensive staff.
I gotta get Karen real quick. Yeah.
Did you feel limited at all because of your lack of contacts? And is that kind of where Elliott came in and made up for that in terms of filling out the staff?
You know what I would say is, we all have strengths and weaknesses, and we're trying to continue to sharpen our swords through people and through their experiences, and at the same time shore up weaknesses or areas to improve. Look, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I have all the answers, because I don't. And Elliott's one of those guys I'm going to lean on, and McAdoo is one of those guys I'm going to lean on. AVP, all those guys are guys that I feel like I can lean on and learn a lot, as well as ownership, right? As well as ownership, they've been very supportive of what we've done.
Sometimes the way filling out the offensive staff under Alex, did he make recommendations, or did he have power over that hiring process?
Yeah, I think one important thing is for offensive coordinators is really to have the ability to have major input in hiring their own staff. You don't want to have to teach your coaches as well as now these guys are going to teach. You want them to have a fundamental understanding of your scheme. But in saying that, I would say it was a combination between, Elliott, myself, Groh, and AVP to really nail the staff down. Good. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in, an hour? All right. Thanks.
Great. How y'all doing? Good.
Marks, how much did it help you to make the transition being here and being familiar with everything in this new position?
Well, obviously, being here for 7 years, so, I didn't have to pick up my family and move. And then I also didn't, I know the players. I'm familiar with Gerard and the coaching style, that he's been used to and what he's wanted to instill. And then for the rest of the defensive staff, the guys who continue to stay on staff, we've been working together for, I would say, 7 years too. So it's really, a blessing to be here, to stay here, and work with the guys, and then the players and the defense that we already have, and then the players that's going to join our team.
What were some of the reactions from the players that you kind of worked with when they heard about you getting this role as coach?
Excited, want to work with them, and then, being able to, getting ready for the spring, that type of stuff. Excited for me and the opportunity that I have, and then also for the guys who are returning, excited to make sure that we, get back on track to where we need to be as a football team. So, and then at the same time, just being able to step up into this role to have more of a leadership on the defense, they were excited about the opportunity for me.
Describe your defensive. Sorry, how would you describe your defensive philosophy?
So I would say the defense, wouldn't change as much, but when you turn on the tape, I think what we want to see is a physical team, a team that plays with good discipline and fundamentals, and a team that attacks the football and takes it away from the opponent. That's what we're trying to look for with our defense, and a team that goes out there and play together for one another. That type of togetherness. That's what we're really looking for.
How much of that is rooted in your relationship with Gerard, and how much of that is influenced by your own previous experience?
I think it's a mix of both. There's a good foundation of players that's laid the foundation of this defense even before I got here. So, and then we're adding. So the foundation, that's what starts with everything. If the foundation is built, solid, you could continue to add on top of it and it won't fall. So that foundation was set before me. And then we just continue to add on to that foundation, which our players continue to add on to that foundation. And then the coaches that we're bringing in and the coaches that we have just continue to build on that.
Marcus, what do you think change in order to advance the defense, as you're speaking about?
Yeah, I would say, you use the word change. I would say every year is a new year. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen, what's going to, the cards that we're dealt. But we need to be ready for everything. We need to try to be good at everything, and we just need to try to go out there and eliminate points and do the things that I said that we want to be as a defense. I think if we play to that type of standard, and when we look at the tape, I think we'll turn out and we'll be happy with the product that we put out on the field.
Some of the coaches who were saying how important was it to retain guys like Mike and Brian to kind of continuity?
It's good. I mean, they're familiar with the players. Our players are familiar with them. They're familiar with our philosophy on what we want to do, and then they've also worked with me and know what I want to do. And then also the foundation, they have been here too. We all came in pretty much together. And so I think when you look at those things and you look at how the players and the coaches combine and how we get the best out of our players, that's what's important to me. Who can do that, who can coach their players good, who can get their players to go out there and play at a high level and execute, to the standard that we want to have.
DeMarcus, who are your coaching mentors, and do you have any from outside the building as well?
Yeah, so, I have a lot of people that help me along the way. So, I started from, the ground up, it was just as a student assistant when I got done playing. So just people who've just opened up the door, like Coach Sullivan, who gave me the opportunity to coach, and then guys like who gave me an opportunity, who Garrett McGee, to be a GA at UAB, and then guys that I learned up under like Kevin Peoples, who took me in on the defensive side of the ball and taught me a good amount of things. Those people laid the foundation, and then worked my way up, even to I can every stop along the way to Jason Simpson, where I'm like at UT Martin, making whatever in West Tennessee, but having my own room, but giving me that opportunity. And then you look at Coach Belichick too, who, give me an opportunity to come in the league, give me that shot, a guy from Alabama who's worked his way up through, college, GA and then 1AA ball, and then coming here and getting the opportunity. And I'm sitting in here, today before you guys.
Do you plan on calling plays this year, and if so, how do you prepare for that responsibility?
Yeah, I do plan on calling plays, and I would say you get those practice reps, obviously, on the practice field and in the classroom for me. So, gaining those reps, going through different games, going through situations in the meeting room with the other coaches. And then also putting myself in those situations on the practice field. That's how we do, just like the players are out there preparing to play and they're going through reps. I should be doing the same thing as a play caller, doing those reps. And it just doesn't happen overnight. This is something where, I've been preparing. This is something I wanted to do. So you already kind of take the necessary steps to prepare yourself for when you get the opportunity to be ready.
Marcus, can you talk?
I was actually going to ask what Phil was going to ask, but to ask a different question. What did you see from Dr. Hightower as a player, though?
Well, you talk about the foundation. Somebody asks about, about the defense. You talk about the foundation of, our defense, and a guy who has done so much on the field as a player and will literally play any position across the front and know every position across the front, and his leadership and his communication skill and what he did, not only just, on the field, but in the classroom as a leader, that it's going to bring value to our team. So you see guys like that all across the league that become, former players that played at a high level, that's a leader in the classroom or a leader, out there with the players. And we're hoping that same thing transition, similar to Gerard, hopefully that, transition for us as a linebacker coach.
Marcus, how much were you involved in the hiring of the other coaches?
I was involved. Marcus, the day you got hired, how did you find out, and what happened next?
A phone call. What happened next? I was actually off. Me and my wife went to lunch, had lunch, and then we continued on about our day. So that's how I found out. Phone call told me about it, and then we were, or technically not in the office, and it was just a typical day, but definitely one to be excited about and super grateful for.
What excites you about it most? You've been there a while, what you guys were able to do last year, and anything else, what excites you most about this opportunity?
There's only 32 defensive coordinators, in the world. There's only 32, so I don't take that lightly. And I think anybody in this position, whether it's a head coach or a position coach, even when I was a position coach, it's only so many defensive line coaches in the National Football League. There's so many people that are dying to get our jobs, or should I say, are wanting to get our jobs. I don't take that for granted. And I know where I started, and then know where I'm at now, and then we'll know what we want to be and what I want to do. So I think when you get put in these positions, you can't help but be grateful and thankful and understand. For me, I know what the Lord has done for me.
Did you have much interaction with Jordan in the past, and what does he bring to the staff?
To me, first of all, we had a joint practice with him in Green Bay. But really, I look at how the players play for him, and I look at his product on tape. I look at how when Green Bay, their front, when you turn on the tape, it's the style of ball that I want to play, the style of ball that I look for in a defensive line coach, and then how I would coach it too. So when you look at that, that is what really drew me to him. And you can see there's a consistent product that's put out on tape. All right, we can say all we want to say in the classroom, but with them going out there and performing and playing, and those players going out there and doing exactly what he wanted to do on a consistent basis, and he was there in Green Bay for 8 or 9 years, that speaks volume.
You talked about not wanting to take this job for granted. That being said, was there ever any concern or worry that you wouldn't become the DC if or when maybe Gerard became the head coach?
To me, I don't worry. All right, I don't worry. So when I look at things, I always think about if I spend too much time worrying or sitting back, then I can't do whatever I need to do. I leave that up to the Lord and then go from there and do whatever I need to do. And I know that, if it's for me, it's for me. If it's not for me, all right, then it will happen later on. So I think that when you think about timing, it's really not my timing. Whenever the time supposed to happen, that's when it's supposed to happen. So if it wasn't this year, hopefully it would have been, another year. So I really don't look at it like that because, to be honest, there's jobs that I wanted when I was coaching 1AA that said no, but I got this opportunity. So to me, you thank God for the no's and then you move forward.
How would you describe your teaching and coaching style, and do you expect there to be any adjustments you have to make now that you're in a new role?
No, I think as a leader, I think you be the same every day, so there is no change. So if you're the same person every day and you're consistent every day and you have a certain standard every day, you don't have to change who you are, all right, because you're showing who you are on a day-to-day basis and they're getting the same consistent you or the same consistent version of yourself. So me, I'm a guy that's gonna, I think about attacking the mind, body, and the soul of a player and trying to get the best out of them. If I can get all three of those, and I challenge our coaches to do that too. If they're able to get that, I think that make a great coach. Whether if you can get only a couple of those are only good coaches. So we're striving to be great coaches. We're trying to attack all three of those. And really that's what we're looking for, and that's what I'm going to preach, and that's what we're going to get the staff to do. And I think if you do that, the players also buy into that, and you're making them better football players and you're making them better men. Thank you.
Feels great. You know, it's my first time to the Northeast. I've been in New York City, but like I feel like this is the true Northeast. So being around this cold weather, which I'm not really used to, being from the South, and it's been quite the awakening. I got to wear a sweater everywhere I go. I feel like I'm losing out every single tan that I ever had. It's gone. So just trying to get used to that right now. Oh, I'm like, I get here and I'm like, Jesus, like, is it really this cold? I mean, it's ice out there. It's crazy. No, that's what I heard. I heard when it gets to May, I'm good to go. Yeah, I'm good.
What's your approach to this job?
My approach is to get it back to an elite level that it's been in the past. Like Slater left and those guys and the Super Bowl runs that they had, get to a level of, hey, being in that top five, being a team where every play we take the field, teams got to prepare for us because we're going to play at an elite level.
Jerry, most of your experience has been in college, then you switched over to the NFL. How different is coaching special teams in the NFL compared to college?
I think it's the margin of error. At this level, the margin of error is so tight. You miss a field goal, you give up a big return. That one play right there can cost you the game. Whereas in college, depending on what type of team you're playing, whether it's an FCS type team or a team that's not at your level of talent, that you can have a significant advantage there. This level, everyone's the same level playing field. Everyone's good. So those thin margins of errors are crucial.
Jeremy, I'm curious because you just mentioned it's your first time in the Northeast. Obviously, in the kicking game here, weather could be a big factor. How do you plan to try to learn everything that goes into that so that you're prepared for the regular season?
2 ways. We practiced outside all week. So those guys are around it all the time. They're kicking in it. It's not like we're going to go in the indoor. It's a short indoor. We're going to hit the roof. So we're going to practice in it all the time. And then my assistant, Tom Quinn, that I have, does an unbelievable job. He was a New York Giants special teams coordinator for a number of years. He's been in these environments. He can always help with some of the little things, inputs that maybe I'm not used to right there.
Do you have a previous relationship with Tom Quinn?
Just through the coaching network, and we've been friends since then. And I just always stayed in touch with the guy, and he's been a reference for me. Guys that have been there, done that. I got a lot of respect for those guys, and I got a lot of respect for him.
At the time to hire Tom Quinn, were you involved in that process of bringing him on?
Yes, ma'am, I was. Yeah, definitely was. And he's been a guy that, for a number of years, that if I ever got this opportunity, that he'd be a guy that was on top of my list.
Jeremy, how did that work? Did they? Go ahead.
Who are your mentors? in the coaching profession?
Mentors, so first and foremost, Jeff Banks, Texas. He was at Texas A&M when he hired me. I played for him at UTEP. He's at Texas now, special teams coordinator, assistant head coach. But that's my number one guy. Joe DeCamillis is a guy that I worked under. Has had a lot of influence on me in my career, and a number of other coaches there. But in terms of special teams, right there, those guys have been really key in my growth early on in my years.
Jeremy, you coached a lot of young guys last year in special teams. What did that kind of teach you as a coach?
Development, man. It's all about development, and it's all about the process. I mean, that team that we had was very young, but sticking to the process, sticking to the development, day by day, not trying to get ahead of ourselves. Hey, just take it one day at a time. It's all going to click at some point. We just got to believe in the process.
Jeremy, you said that you wanted to get back to a top 5 special teams unit. How do you gauge a top 5 special teams unit personally?
There's a number of ways. I think, how we're covering, what our net punt looks like, how efficient our specialists are, how good our returners are, and it's just how good we are really in the coverage game. When we get our returns, how effective we are there. Just an overall, and I think every year is different. I think it depends on the team, depending on what you're doing with that team, whether you're a big return team or not, or maybe you don't have a returner, so you're not returning the ball a whole lot, but you're a big-time coverage team, you're punting the ball quite a bit. It just kind of depends on the flow of that season.
Jeremy, when you study Chad Ryland, who obviously struggled last year as a rookie, do you see identifiable things he can change to perhaps improve his efficiency?
Of course, man. It's really early in the process right now. I'm still getting here, still figuring out, getting a routine of things. But being in the NFL and watching every team, there's only 32 of them, right? So, we're watching everybody. So I've seen, I also was part of that process when he was getting drafted of going to work out the kid in person, right? So I know of the guy. I know his character. I know what kind of work habits that he has. So it definitely is, but early in the process right now, and is trying to figure all that out as we plan for when those guys come back.
You talked about the history of the Patriots special teams before you referenced Matthew Slater and where they've been in past years. I'm just curious if you could expand on that a little bit, your knowledge of what special teams has meant to New England here over the last decade plus.
Yeah, just being a fan. Anna Vinatieri hitting the big-time field goals, big-time block punts against the Cowboys in early 2000s or late 2000s right there. I just think certain plays where it was a one-score game here and a block punt, a one-score game field goal, or a big-time tackle or a big-time ball down inside the 10-yard line. Those type of plays, those one plays, those thin margin of errors I talked about earlier are crucial, and I've seen a lot of those plays made in this building or on that field from being a fan in the past.
I know, can you sum up what it means to you to get this job and become NFL special teams?
Huge, man. Being where I started as a graduate assistant, working my way up, it's an opportunity at the end of the day. It's an opportunity to be one of the 32 coaches as a coordinator at this level, and I don't take that lightly. I'm very humbled and grateful for it. Thankful to Coach Mayo, gave me the opportunity, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep this job and be effective and successful at it and help this team win games at the end of the day.
When Vinatieri kicked the field goal in the snow, you were just a kid. Where were you? What were you doing? What was your reaction?
Great question right there. Okay, I got to really think about that a little. But I was back in Los Fresnos, Texas, where I'm from. Okay, I was at the second floor of our 2-story house right there, townhome, watching it on TV with my brother.
Jeremy, Matthew Slater mentioned that he's glad he didn't retire earlier because of Brendan Schooler and being able to be around him. I'm not sure how much you've gotten to watch, but what have you gotten to learn about Brendan from what you?
I know Brendan Schooler. I coached his brother at University of Arizona. Okay, and also Brendan Schooler was with us for about 3 months until he transferred to the University of Texas. So I know Schooler from that standpoint. I know what kind of guy he is. I know the kind of character that he has. So I think, Slater molding him and what he's done on the field is just going to continue to progress because I know what kind of kid he is. I'm excited to work with him, man. Like I said, California kid. I know a lot about him, his backstory, and like I said, I just can't wait to get to work with that guy right there.
Can you expand on that answer just on the Vinatieri field goal? Just like you said.
Expand on it?
Just expand on it.
Yeah, I think I might have been 12 years old. I know I was in junior high. I was in South Texas, where I'm from, so it was sunny outside. It was a beautiful day, and I'd never been in snow before. So I was watching that game on snow, like, damn, that looks really cold. And I thought it was just a big time play, and it was fun to watch it as a fan.
What were you eating?
I don't know.
Did you think watching it, though, that you'd be here in this position today?
I always wanted to be in the NFL, like whether I was a player or a coach. I knew if I wasn't going to be there as a player, I was going to coach in the NFL at some point. So I knew that at that point. That was on my goal sheet. Everything I wrote down when I was a young kid, that was on there. So thanks for asking that question right there.
Jeremy, I know you worked for, what was used to be the youngest head coach in the league with Sean. You're going to yourself for coordinator position. Why are you ready for this at 34?
I care about the people. I think it's all about the people. I love working with people. I want to show them that I love them. I think if you show people that you love them and you care about them and you serve them and you put them first, that it doesn't matter how old you are, you get that part of it right there. They're going to play hard for you. You're going to work hard for them, and it all goes in circle right there.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Offensively for the Patriots, what excites you the most about this challenge?
The biggest thing is there's some good pieces in place. I think the best thing for everybody is it's going to be a fresh start for everybody. I've talked to a couple guys already to coming in with a clean slate, no preconceived expectations or notions of who these guys are, and then we'll build it from the ground up. But exciting to have the opportunity to do that. I've talked to Mac a little bit, met some of the guys as they come through the building, met Pop, met a few other guys that have just been through the building. But there's some good pieces there, and excited to get a chance to get to work with those guys.
How do you get ready for this job with not knowing what's going to happen now in 2 months with the draft and number 3 pick and the quarterback situation? How does that affect what maybe system you're trying to use or set some ground rules?
There's definitely some pieces of the puzzle that aren't quite put in place yet, and that's our job. So at the end of the day, once we get everything established, see who we are, who we have available to us, and then we'll put that puzzle together with those pieces that we have.
Yeah, you're known for your versatility. How much will that help?
I think you always have to play to the strengths of your players, regardless of position. So we'll try to put those guys, whoever they are, in the best position to be successful. Again, while at the same time understanding where they're maybe deficient in their areas and try to guard against those deficiencies.
It looks like there's some familiar faces for you on the coaching staff anyway. How much is that going to help, or how much do you anticipate that helping in terms of the run up to the season?
I think it'll help tremendously. I think that a lot of the guys on the staff I have familiarity with, I've worked with in different areas, different teams, and the one thing I'll say about these guys is they're great teachers, great communicators, and great people. The familiarity with the scheme will help, but just the understanding of who we want to be as a coaching staff, that's the most important piece, and I think there's a lot of great pieces in that room that'll help for sure.
Alex, how excited are you to call plays, and how different is your job as an offensive coordinator when you're calling plays versus not calling plays?
It's definitely different. Obviously, the more responsibility you have for calling the plays. I'm excited about doing it. I've had opportunities to do it in the past at different levels. I got to call a whole season in NFL Europe, which was a blast. Kind of cut my teeth there and got to learn how to do it. Made a ton of mistakes and nobody cared. And really, it was like they just wanted to see you kick the ball, which was awesome. So a lot of cheering. But, that was a great experience for me. And then I got thrown into it in Buffalo in 2009, and our opening game was here, unfortunately, against the Patriots on a Monday night, and felt like we had them on the ropes until the very end, but gained a lot of experience in that season as well, and then had a chance to call a few games during the COVID season, and I think I've just gotten more experience and feel way more comfortable than I did the first game I called on that Monday night here, but excited about the opportunity. Again, it's a collaborative effort. It's not just going to be me. I made a lot of input from my coaches, and helped me in that area.
Same offense that Kevin Stefanski ran in Cleveland?
I would say similar. I'd say there's a lot of similarities. Again, it's those pieces of that puzzle. What's available and how can we make those guys successful? But there'll be similarities. I've taken pieces of a lot of different offenses over my time, and kind of melded those together in what's best for us at that time.
Alex, to that point about player strength, how much of your playbook can you really write, knowing stuff for agency ahead draft? And then obviously everyone will be here right after that.
The good news is I've done it a lot of different ways. Like I said, I've been under center a ton. I've been in the shotgun a ton. I've had issues with personnel in certain areas and been able to adjust and adapt to that. We're not exactly sure what pieces of that puzzle we'll have, but I feel confident with the coaching staff that we'll be able to put those people in the right place. It's not so much about scheme, it's about the players and putting those people in positions. So there's a lot of different schemes out there. The best ones put the best players in positions to be successful.
Alex, the process of you getting hired here a little bit, because I felt like it was kind of kept under wraps until the announcement was made. Kind of what went into that and what was your experience?
I had an opportunity to interview in a couple places and had some really good experiences doing that. Got called in here on a Wednesday. Been in touch with Elliot a little bit prior to that. Was excited for the opportunity to come in and interview, and then hopefully I think they felt pretty good about me at the end of the day when I left. So it was fast and it was exciting, but I hope they feel like they made a good decision, because I'm excited to be here.
How would you describe your ideal?
Smart, tough, and a leader. You put them in those categories. I mean, obviously there's accuracy in the pass game and mobility and decision making. There's a lot that goes into it. But at the end of the day, that role is such an important role for the rest, not just the offense, for the team as well. So a guy that's a true leader that can come in and really, understands his teammates and gets the best out of those guys. The physical attributes are obviously important, but if a guy is a great leader and can come in and make good decisions and throw the ball accurately, those are all pluses. But the guys that I've been around that are the great players, often the best leaders and the most competitive guys as well.
How did your time in the league as a quarterback shape you as a coach?
Oh, that had a lot to do with it. I've learned so much. I've been blessed to have so many great coaches in my lifetime. Really started off for me with Paul Hackett at the University of Pittsburgh, who was a Joe Montana's coach, West Coast guy, taught me everything I know about quarterback play. So having those experiences with great coaches and then being able to go out and do it on the field, it's definitely got me ready to be in this position now. And really for the quarterback, it's understanding what he can and can't do, what we're asking him to do and what he can't do. And then having the experiences of being in those situations as a player, I think I have an understanding of what his strengths and weaknesses are and how can we make him a better player.
Alex, speaking of Paul Hackett, what were some of the greatest lessons that you took from him, and how have you kind of put your own spin on some of those core philosophies?
Not a lot of spins. I mean, there's some stuff obviously we do different, but the drill work that I did in college that Joe did when he was with Paul is the same one that Aaron Rodgers did, and that all the quarterbacks I've worked with. So a lot of those traditional quarterback drills we'll still have. The play action pass game, the ball handling, the fakes that you make and all the little details that go into that was a huge piece that I took away from him. The knowledge of the game, understanding protections, understanding the issues, those were big pieces as well. And then he taught me how to be a leader of men too, and I thought that was some of the great lessons from him. But I was blessed to be with a lot of great coaches, Kevin Gilbride, Steve Craig Thorpe, guys that have coached me over my career. I've been in a lot of different systems, and I think that just helps broaden your experience and broaden your knowledge of offensive football.
Alex, you mentioned that you had a chance to meet Mac Jones. Can you envision him being this team's starter next season?
Really right now, everything is on the table. As we go through this process, we're really this last couple weeks, 10 days, have just been diving into who we are. Trying to evaluate our guys. A lot of people in this situation on staffs that have been here, they're doing free agency. Well, we're doing our guys as they are free agents. So we're trying to understand who we have here as well as looking at other players out there. But right now, everything is on the table, and we're just still working through that process. When that time comes, I'm sure it'll be a collaborative effort, and we'll make the right decisions.
Do you want to describe you as a relationship guy? Having been back there in the pocket and seeing what a quarterback will see, how has that aided you in building relationships with a lot of different quarterbacks, different types of people?
The one thing about that position is you coach everybody a little bit differently. I think you have to have that relationship first to get to know that person, to see how they work, how they think, and really how you can make them better. I've been in a lot of different rooms with a lot of different types of personalities, and those relationships help you, to build that connection where now you're getting the best out of those. A guy comes in a bad mood, you know how to deal with that guy. You know, a different guy comes in with a bad mood. I know him well enough to know that what worked for this guy may not work for that guy. But at the end of the day, it's building those relationships, having your players understand that you are trying to make them better players. You have their best interest in mind. And this is really, I mean, we talk about football family. I mean, that's one thing we'll talk about a lot. This is us together, you know, doing it for each other with one heartbeat and, you know, one purpose. And I think the sooner we get a chance to build that culture, I think things can go positively quickly.
Offensive line.
I'm sorry?
The offensive line, what are the traits that you value the most in your offensive line players?
In our scheme, smart for starters. We'll do some things at the line of scrimmage. We have to be smart. You know, it depends. It depends on what scheme we run, quite honestly. And that again will come down to those puzzle pieces. Is this guy a guard that can pull? Then we'll have some more gap schemes in where we get him on the perimeter. Is he more of a downhill thumper? You know, so we'll put those pieces together once we get those. You know, once we know who is on our roster. But athletic guys up front are good. Smart guys are good. Obviously tough guys, and then we're looking for teammates. That's the biggest thing. We want guys that want to work for each other in that room and really care about each other. So if you can come out and work hard and love your brother and be a good player, you're going to fit just right in.
As best you can you just take us through your interview from when you got here Wednesday to making that agreement on Thursday?
Sure.
Talk about what you did.
Sure. Got in Wednesday evening, came over, spent about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours with the crew, and just really more of a Q&A. Got to know them, got to know me, where I was, you know, family history, coaching background, beliefs, philosophy. And then the next morning came over and did the football portion of that. Just talked about scheme, you know, how I would run the room, how would I run the, you know, the offense, how the meeting structures would be set up, things like that. But I thought it was great. You know, it was a great opportunity to come to a great organization. I mean, obviously I have a lot of history with Elliott, you know, from our days together in Green Bay. So it felt good to come in and you know, and talk to people that were listening. It was good.
Yeah, if you're evaluating a quarterback prospect, whether it's this year, next year, or any year, what specifically are you looking for? What traits do you like? What do you want to see in a quarterback you might have to work with going forward?
Sure. You know, again, just goes back to decision making, accuracy. You know, the fundamentals of mechanics, if the guy's sound. Big one again is leadership. You know, was he a 3-year captain? You know, why wasn't he a captain? So all that really plays together. The big piece for me is the leadership, the toughness, the accuracy, and the decision making. You could switch them in either way, but all four are super important. Okay, guys, thanks.